Here we go.
You are live.
Heckler.
Okay, we're going live. We're doing this on the fly. I'm here with David Thrussell, the blonde version of me.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And we've got Richard here. Richard, you want to pop in quickly? We got Richard from the No Goat Show.
My first protest, ladies and gentlemen. So do I get an elephant star? Or
no, but the anxiety levels, I can see you're doing pretty well.
I'm fine. I survived.
Okay.
People things. What's going on? You know, well, humans.
Can only have the
I heard Margaret Thatcher say there is no.
You can't all speak at once on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to get people to come in and sit down with us and tell us their stories from Bendigo. Damien's out there.
The voice of Bendigo, the people's voice.
Yeah, great.
We've got one
line
here.
up, take a line. Yeah, take a ticket.
Number.
And so, David,
Yes.
you're from this region.
That's correct.
In the country, in the city.
We call it Benders here.
Benders.
That's the nickname.
Okay, in the city, they're telling everybody that basically the country towns are very happy and booming. What are your thoughts?
Sorry.
That's the answer. That's the answer.
People are pissed off. You know, the people who can think and are outside of the blizzard of the mainstream media and aren't, frightened of biting the hand that feeds them are pissed off. And there's a lot of them, actually. There's a lot of people who are pissed off. And we're going to hear it tonight. We're going to meet them tonight. You know, they've lost their jobs. They've lost their way of life. They've been coerced. They've gone through 2 years of utter hell. They're here. I mean, there's already a couple of hundred of them here. We'll hear these stories tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. We're going a bit earlier. We're just going to stream people through. And so who should we start with? How about you, my dear? Okay, guys, I'll.
You want me to get out of your way?
Yeah, I'll get you out of the way.
Yep.
No, come and sit here, my love.
Doing a fabulous job, Michael.
Got this big hairy thing in my face.
Good evening.
Okay.
Mask on just for the dust and the pollen.
Okay. Now, what's your name?
My name's Judy.
Yep.
Did you want the surname as well?
No, that's fine, Judy.
Okay, Judy.
That's fine, Judy. And so I'll just see if you're on. Yep.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the New World Order that we own. We own the New World Order now.
Now, how are you now at the city? I just told David what they're saying is that the country towns are booming and everyone's happy. Is that the case?
Oh, absolutely not. We're all in the nightmare dystopia everywhere here in this country, all over the world. The mainstream media, of course, aren't they clever how they're trying to hide it from everybody and pretend that everything's fine. Not show any of the 500,000 people just in Melbourne alone protesting for their human rights and their freedom, but all over the country, all over the world. It's just a joke. Of course, we're not happy. I've been kicked out of 3 opportunity shops in the last 2 days.
Wow.
That I have donated to. I've helped the homeless from. They're my happy places. When I'm depressed, that's where I love to go.
Wait on. I'm an op shopper too. Nat, is like St. Vincent's one of them, or?
St. Vincent's, all of them. The Salvos, Vinnies, even the local Uniting Church, who I honestly thought would not do that. I thought they had the ethics of Jesus and who walked with lepers, as we know.
All right. So do you think if Jesus was running the op shops that he would not allow people in? Do you think he'd segregate if Jesus was running the op shops?
I think if Jesus was running the op shops, the Pharisees definitely would not get in. Okay? The righteous vaxxed who are judging us and trying to do what Hitler did to the Jewish people by labeling them as disease, carriers of disease, and that was the justification for segregating them in community. It's absolutely criminal and disgraceful, and it really hurts deep. Yeah. And of course, Jesus would let everybody in, probably even the Pharisees, so long as they bought something and committed to changing their ways. But one of the points I wanted to make, if you don't mind, Michael, is I'm very concerned about this label that we're getting put. I'm a lefty, greeny environmental activist from way back. And I'm very offended that the Nazis want to call me a Nazi. Okay, it's a bit of a joke, isn't it? The Nazis calling us Nazis. I mean, the Nazis...
You look like a Nazi to me, I have to admit,
That's my incognito. The Nazis at the top I'm talking about, not the little group in town. You know, quite.
Can I have a sec for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Just stay here for 2 seconds and make it up. Why don't we alternate?
Yeah, sure. Well,
I'll do him, you do him, and I'll bring someone
I'll finish it
alternate.
really quickly.
Sweet, mate.
Yeah, so come in next.
I'll finish it now.
Yeah, sorry.
So what I think is very important, because there's a lot of very middle of the road Australian people, and in Australia have been politically naive for a long time, because we haven't needed to know about who is who in the zoo.
Yeah.
But now, as they're calling us right wing, etc., you know, you've been around long enough to know that a lot of these movements are hijacked by people with their own agenda.
Yeah.
I know you guys are middle of the road guys,
Yeah.
but we need to get everybody to ask anyone who's at the front speaking, talking, what else do they stand for apart from the freedom movement? Are they inclusive of gays, LGBTI? Are they inclusive of Muslims? You know, all people in society, because that's the world we want to bring, one big melting pot.
That's the world we had.
Well, yes, getting there. However, it does bring the cockroaches out from the bloody cracks in the wood.
Yeah, but we're going away from that world now.
We are, but we've got to examine the people.
You're the one that's segregated now.
We've got to ask the people who are putting themselves at the front of the movement and speaking at the rallies, what else do they stand for? We don't want far-right people using...
Have you been to the rallies?
Not to the ones in Melbourne, but I've watched every
Well,
one
I've
of them.
I've been to them. I haven't met any far-right people.
Well,
at
I
all.
want to know, for example, what people like Topher Field stand for, what RV stands for.
But can't you go on their websites? I mean, they're
Well, I
they're
don't.
pretty
They
they're
don't
pretty
answer
there.
me. I ask them, I say, where can I find out about what your other policies are? And they
Well,
don't
I
get
don't
back to
think-
me.
Don't you think at the moment the government's like the most far-right thing with the totalitarian? It's bringing divisions, kicking people out of jobs. It's basically telling you if you don't comply, you won't have a life. Don't you think that's a far-right sort of thing?
Of course it is. That's why I say it's such a joke that the Nazis are calling us Nazis.
So what do you think that anyone in the movement that doesn't have any power could do to endanger that? If you don't fight far-right with far-right.
That's exactly right. And that's why it's very important for everybody to know who is leading the movement and are they really
But you can't,
in the middle of the road.
You can't really know who's ruling the movement because in the past, up until recently, every time someone puts their head up, like Monica Smith, they get arrested. And that's why people are so thin. They don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
And most of them aren't getting paid.
Sure, of
And
course.
so the only people that are calling them a far right are the media. So I haven't, because
I
I've
want to know
been,
what Monica stands for too. I want to know what all
well,
of them
Monica's
stand
on her videos. I've seen her videos. You got to watch them. She's pretty clear. She's Christian.
for. Yeah.
She believes in fairness, tolerance.
Yeah.
And I've seen those videos. So that's very easy to find if you get online.
So long as it's not far right Christian, Michael, there's plenty of them around too. The Christian.
Well,
Well,
who would you be
spend
more?
more
Who
time
would you be
yourself.
more scared of? The what's coming in with the government, who's threatening to imprison us for 2 years without trial, or Monica Smith?
I don't want to go from the fat to the frying pan, but probably I'd feel safer with Monica. Yes.
Yeah,
At this
okay.
stage, however, we do need to become much more politically aware in this country and question everything. Timothy Leary, think for yourself. Question authority.
Okay. Well, I might swap.
Thank
We're
you.
going to alternate. I'm going to find someone else to interview, and Damien's going to do an interview now.
Thanks, buddy.
I think
Cheers.
that'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, well, well. Come in, Ross. Anyway, the great thing about this, clearly it was Michael's idea to do an outside broadcast. I mean, hard working against the elements and stuff, but here we are. And I've met quite a few of the locals just lately, and the people are just so pleased to see that some people have taken the time to come out to the community and bring the community together. And there's such a good feeling down here. There's probably how many people? I don't know, just maybe just over 100, I reckon. And yep, probably closer to 200. And this is, pan around, have a look at that. And here's a friend of mine. I've just met him. That's sort of what happens in this movement. You meet people and they sort of become friends pretty quickly because finally you're allowed to talk honestly and openly with another human being without being afraid of someone else's negative reaction. So say good day, Ross, and tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, Ross Cairns is my name. I'm a retired environmental health officer. I was an environmental EHO for about 35 years, and one of the acts that I worked under was the Public Health and Wellbeing Act, which is one of the ones that Daniel Andrews is trying to get amended with 116 pages, I think it is, which is absolutely ridiculous. One of the most draconian pieces of legislation I've ever seen in my life. And one of the worst parts about it in that proposed bill is that the Chief Health Officer for the state government, he's the one with the knowledge and expertise and the health experience and the scientific knowledge to give advice to the Premier in these sorts of situations. Well, in the bill, the Premier wants to do away with him and have the Health Minister give advice to the Premier. Now, of course, the Health Minister, he's got lots of health related issues as a background to him to be able to give good independent advice. Well, my understanding, the current Health Minister, Rex Hunt, I think it is, I'm not sure. Anyway, my understanding, and I stand corrected, is he's got no health knowledge whatsoever. And who does he answer to? Daniel Andrews. So what's he going to say? What advice is he going to give to the Premier? Whatever the Premier wants to hear. It's just going to be a snow job.
Does Brett Sutton have any of that medical scientific background that you're talking about, or is he just a bureaucratic? No. No. He's quite knowledgeable in health-related matters. He's far better than any minister, and that's why he's in that position to give that advice. That's why he's been employed by the state government to do that particular job. So they're just politicising it even more by making it the health minister. It doesn't matter who the health minister is at the moment. It's just going to be whatever health minister it is on the day, yeah? Absolutely, yeah. And the health minister is going to tell the Premier what he wants to hear. He's not going to be independent. He's not going to be doing the best thing for Victoria. Do you think Brett Sutton's independent at the moment? I would say to a large degree, yes. He comes across, in the censored media, he comes across to a large degree as being fairly honest, yes. And so do you agree with the sort of approach he's taken to this alleged pandemic? Well, with the last lot of mandate conditions that came in on 11:59 last Thursday night or Thursday before, I don't see any health or scientific reasoning or background as to why myself as an unvaccinated person, I can go into one shop but not another shop, and another shop and not another shop. There's no scientific or health basis to have that discrimination. There's no rhyme nor reason to it. It's always really perplexing and confusing, isn't it? But you're meant to just go along with it and not say anything. Are you quite happy to reveal your status, as it were? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not vaccinated. And in my job as an environmental health officer, I promoted vaccination of people, particularly children, for 35 years. So I'm certainly not anti-vax, but those vaccines that I promoted were proven to be safe, and they were tested over about a 10-year period to make sure they were safe for the public. The COVID vaccines, they were rushed through in about 10 weeks. And if you actually look at the stats and the figures, severe adverse reactions from the normal childhood vaccinations about 1 in 100,000. For COVID vaccines, about 1 in 60. You do the sums. Yeah, sure. So why did you stop working with the health department? I actually retired. Recently? Yeah, I was working for local government. I retired 5 years ago. And I, as I say, I promoted vaccination, and we had high vaccination rates wherever I worked. Right. So you've been watching this from a distance unfold, Ross, as it were? I have, unfortunately, and just the way it's panned out. The whole thing could have been easily resolved in the very first instance by locking down the state and locking down the country properly. By not doing that, there's obviously some other ulterior motive behind it. I don't know what it is, but they just fell down on the basic things to do to stop an epidemic. Were you heartened by the amount of people you saw in the city in Melbourne on the weekend? Absolutely. And I guess I'm a bit disappointed it's taken so long for people to get motivated, but if the government doesn't listen to what the people are saying, and these are ordinary mums and dads protesting, that doesn't normally happen unless they're really peeved off with the government, with what the government's proposing to do. And to think that, rural cities like Bendigo are all happy and, tickety-boo with what's happening, nothing could be further than the truth. That's just bovine excrement. People are really peeved off, and unfortunately, a number of people have had to have the vaccine because they've got mortgages to pay and families to feed. How do you think those people are going to feel when they realise they have to have a third one to keep their vaccination status by March? Well, there's the third one, then there's the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and on and on and on. Just look at the number of the millions of vaccines that the federal government has purchased, and look at the population of Australia, 26 million. There's about six more boosters coming. People don't realise this, that there's a lot more to come, and who knows what's in the vaccines and how long they've been developed and how safe they are. So tell me, Russ, do you think you might bring a posse of people down from Bendigo to Melbourne this weekend? We're looking to get as many people as we can on the street, of course.
I'd be happy to be down there. I've got a granddaughter's birthday party on Saturday, unfortunately. But yeah, if I could be there, I would be there.
Is she vaccinated?
No. Well, it's for childhood vaccines, but she's only 6, so she doesn't need to have the COVID vaccine. And
Yet.
And my advice to her parents is not to not have it until it's actually safe.
And how's that advice taken from her parents?
Well, the parents have had to have the vaccine themselves to keep working, but they can see my point of view. So that's all you can ask, for them to actually look at both sides of the argument and make their own informed decision.
All right. Thanks for your time, Ross. We've got to move on, get some more people too. It's great to chat to you, mate. Thanks, brother. Good on you, mate. I'll let Michael resume the chair again, and he's got another guest.
Hey, mate. Come in, my dear. Okay, hi everybody. Here we have Susie.
Hello, everybody.
Now, Susie, you started a walk in the park. Is that correct? Or stand in the park?
Stand in the park on Sundays. The first weekend I was there was February, and there was 3 of us, and we endured a very cold, windy weather all year. And probably
Did you get a lot of police action?
not at first, no. Probably when as we came into harsher lockdowns, for sure, there was police doing drive-bys, just coming and saying g'day. They were pretty good, really.
Have you been an activist before?
Only since the beginning of COVID.
Only, so this is your first time. Okay, so how did you go from 3?
It just slowly grew. Networking with people. I think people just started to get sick of everything and wanted to stand up, and they just came out more and more. Then other groups joined us, so RDA, Australia One, and our Facebook page, which was Central Vic Truth and Freedom page, which went from, I think, 500 people to 3,500 in a few weeks. So a few guys started that. So we all got together, and then the crowds came, and we had over 100 people. And we've had over 100 probably 3 weeks in a row. Yeah.
Wow. So how was the reaction from the locals that you had these 100 people standing up?
Oh, well, you get the odd ones that like to ring the police and dob you in.
Brown shirts, they're even out here.
Yeah, oh yeah. Just dirty looks, with too many of us gathering together. Yeah.
And how's your fear levels? I mean, you're getting anxious now about being arrested or catching the virus or anything like that?
Nah. No, when everyone went into panic, I started to find my power. I came into my own, I think. Yeah, I've never believed what they say, or I've never believed in government.
Yeah. So have you, what do you feel is happening at the moment? Do you feel it's just a reaction to a pandemic, or do you think something more is going on?
Oh, I think that we're here to create our own new world. And I think the COVID's been the beginning. It's been the shake-up that we all needed to think about what we really want to do in life and how we're going to go about it.
Oh, so you think like we're starting our new world, they're starting their new world as well. Do you think there's going to be a conflict?
No, because love always wins.
Love always wins? That's your belief? Okay.
Yep.
And has there been any conflict here with the police at all? There has been in Melbourne?
No, they've been really good. Yeah, even the day they tried to intimidate us with, I think the second weekend we had 100, first or second weekend we had over 100 people there. There's about 30 police turned up, and they tried a bit of intimidation, but it didn't work. I suppose.
Why didn't it work?
Because we're all just won't buy into it. Yeah.
Now another thing, Dan Andrews turned up here, and there's apparently someone in Bendigo basically scared him off, and someone had a loudspeaker. Any idea who that was?
May have been me and my trusty megaphone. Yeah, we frightened him. There was probably 50 people at Bendigo TAFE, 45 screaming women and maybe 5 men. And
so 45 women and
middle-aged women.
45 middle-aged women and 5 men.
And we circled that building like a shark, And then when he went to his car, I saw my opportunity, so I ran on the road with my megaphone and said, "Kill that Bill!" in his window. And the police weren't happy I was on the road. They chased me off the road, and then I said, "No, no, 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 no." That was my defining moment.
You actually made the news.
I know. I don't even have to try.
And what do you think of the pandemic bill they're trying to get passed? Do you know much about it?
Oh, very little. I just don't trust anything that they put out there.
Do you trust the media?
Definitely not.
Okay, because in the city, they're telling us, and Dan Andrews is basically telling us the country towns are really happy and booming. Is that your experience?
Definitely not. No, we can't go into restaurants or op shops now, or our children can't go in. No, we're not happy.
So you're a second-tier person now.
Yeah. Oh,
Did you ever think that would happen in your country in your time?
No, definitely not. Just and the police presence in Melbourne at the protests, it's like a different country. It's like a war-torn country. It's horrific. Yeah.
And yet, even though it's horrific, you're still standing up.
Oh yeah. There's no turning back whatsoever.
And how do you feel about the media calling people like you a Nazi? Are you a Nazi?
Definitely not. Definitely not. No, you know,
Or a racist or a fascist?
The abuser always accuses the victim of being what they are.
Yeah.
And that's what they are.
And are you hopeful for the future then?
Oh, definitely. Yep.
And have you been to the big marches in the city?
Yes, I've been to 16.
16.
Yeah.
Are you coming tomorrow?
Oh, most definitely. Yep.
Right. Well, I'll be there. I'll be there
My
too.
megaphone.
With your megaphone, I'll be there too. Okay, Damien, you got another one? Yeah. Right.
Why not? Denise and Kalinda.
Oh, squeeze in.
Yeah, put them both in. There we go. There's a mother and daughter outfit. So come in. Someone's going to have to sit next to me. Kalinda's going to sit next to me. Yep. Hi, Kalinda.
Hello. How you going?
And this is Denise. This is Kalinda's mum.
Hi. How are you?
Good. Now, these two ladies obviously from Bendigo as well, but Denise was actually the woman who did the footage. I don't know if anyone can remember. There was that footage of Daniel Andrews when he came down to Bendigo TAFE to open it up. And then there's footage of him inside the TAFE, which Dale did, and he's here. And hopefully we've got to talk to him later on today too. But then there's footage of him outside when he gets harangued by 5 middle-aged ladies. And then, sorry, Denise, I can say that because I'm middle-aged as well. Yeah. So he has to be whisked away for his own safety, of course, because someone like Denise is about to attack him. But Denise took the footage, so I'll hand it over to Denise. She might tell us how she felt about that day.
It's really interesting because at first we were told that he wasn't coming.
Got to love an outside broadcast, especially when the motorbikes go past, because it just works every single time.
And there's more to come, I think.
And there's more to come. Denise knows the local mongrel mob, so I'm going to say any more than that. I'm not going to ask any more questions. Don't get into trouble. Here we go. We've got a bit of silence now.
So at first we heard that he wasn't coming, and then he was coming, then he wasn't coming, and then some inside information we got hit with. And I wasn't actually going to go, and Kalinda said to me, "Mum, I think you need to go." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, he might not turn up anyway," so I went. And it was really interesting just watching him, and they ushered him in and snuck him in. And one of the young girls that was with us, and she said, "Oh, this is his car out here." And we're like, "Where?" She said, "This white car. I saw him get out of it." We're like, "Right, okay." So we just waited for him, and we were chanting the whole time, "Sack Dan Andrews, kill the bill," all the chants.
How many of you was there?
All up, I would say there was about 50 housewives, scary housewives, and maybe 5 men. So there wasn't many of us at all. And, just seeing him come out, and he was just so bent over, and he was just intimidated by 50 women screaming. And, it was just interesting seeing him here. And
seeing him live, you sort of don't expect to see the Premier live. I suppose particularly maybe in Bendigo, you think in a regional centre that, yeah.
And a lot of people said, was it him? Was it really him? It was him. It definitely was him. You know, he's just not a nice person. He just sends off this horrible vibe as well. Like
when you consider what he's doing to the state, how would it be possible for someone to be in a good state of mind and actually be perpetrating what he's doing? And is that why you think he was stooped over? Did he look like he was under pressure?
I think so. And I think he was actually terrified. So he was all stooped over and running to the car and you know, it was a bit of fun actually. I've never done anything like that before. And
what did you call him? I think you called him a few names, didn't you?
well, I did call him a few names, and the one that I've been quoted in all the newspapers was I called him scum, and that's the one that I was quoted with.
And what newspapers quoted you?
The Herald Sun, and then I was on Sky, 7, 9, all the news channels, my video, and you know how they write stuff underneath, just saying that, and some protesters quoted scum. I actually think scum's too good for him.
What, you know, this is like, you can say what you want on this broadcast, you know. So what would you really say to him?
You're a fucking dog, scum, asshole.
And how do you feel about your mum with this sort of language, Kalinda?
Kalinda, yeah, I probably swear more than Mum does, and yeah, you just can't.
I wonder where you got that from.
Yeah, it's kind of born in you. Yeah. I would say everything that Mum says, but probably more because he's ruining my entire future. So.
And what's happened to you specifically to ruin your future? Give us some details.
So I'm 26, so ruined my entire social life. But also I'm a remedial massage therapist, so I have my own remedial massage business, and I started that in the end of 2018. So obviously spent 18 months working, trying to build it up. Then when I finally built it up, had to shut it down. And then for some reason last year, I eventually was allowed to work most of the year, and I got incredibly busy. And then all of this year had to shut down. Constantly was told to shut down. I didn't completely shut all the time, but he just keeps doing that. And now with the mandates, I weirdly am not mandated to be jabbed for work. And I don't have to check for my clients, so I don't. But it just makes things so tricky. Like, people come in and they tell me that they're double jabbed, and I don't care. And I just think they have so much more privilege than we do. And it makes things harder. I've lost clients because they know that I'm against it.
Is that because they're frightened of the government, or they're frightened of getting COVID?
I think they're frightened of COVID, yeah, because, like, you know, I won't get fined. I'm not doing anything wrong. So it's more of the fact I think they're scared of catching something from me, even though they can catch it from anyone.
Why do you think people are so willing to just buy into the narrative?
I think us as Australians have had it way too easy over the years. I think we have literally been fed everything on a silver platter. We've never had to work for anything. We've never fought. So, for instance, when our protests first started, we didn't know how to protest. We've never had to do it. And when we have had to do it, they've never been anything like what it is. And personally, I don't think for anything any more important than what's happening now. So I think with everyone literally just being handed everything, and that's because the government has told us, you know, that's what we're going to do. This is what's right throughout our entire lives, that when the government's now doing it, they are so blind, like, I don't know, blindly living life that they just don't see it, and they don't question it. And then the government has also labelled us all conspiracy theorists. Now, I've always said from the start of it, and don't get me wrong, I believed it at the start. I was terrified until I realised you didn't have to be terrified. But
it's an impossible way to live a life anyway, being in constant state of terror. That's as debilitating as any. Yeah, 100%.
And it wasn't until, like, I realised some things weren't connecting the dots. Now, my dad has been into conspiracies forever. And we used to always say, shut up, you're a dickhead. Like, what are you talking about? And then he kept saying a few things at the start of COVID, and we still were kind of like, nah, that doesn't make sense. Like, my sister lives in Melbourne, and we didn't allow her to come to Bendigo because we didn't want her to bring it from Melbourne. And then Dad kept saying things, and I saw them elsewhere, and I thought, maybe Dad's right. I hope he doesn't watch it because I've never said that.
I'll make sure you get it, Dad. Don't worry. I'm a father as well. I'll make sure you hear this, my friend.
But yeah, so when we saw all that, God, the wind is driving me nuts.
Outside broadcast, fantastic idea. Great idea, Michael.
So, yeah, when we realised that, oh, hang on, there's something else going on here, that's when I woke up to a lot of it. But I said, even with it all, like, I questioned the whole toilet paper scenario. The only reason Bendigo went nuts on toilet paper is because of the media. The media told us that places in Melbourne were selling out of toilet paper. So every Tom, Dick and Harry in town went and bought toilet paper, went and stored food. We didn't. We ran out of toilet paper. My grandparents had a bloke stealing toilet paper from the mines, so they had toilet paper for them. And so I just said, every single thing is a conspiracy, no matter what they say. So, if the government was saying something and, let's say it was right, that's still a conspiracy because it depends on what you believe in. So everyone's a conspiracy theorist. And yeah, I just think people here, especially, are just so against the word, the words conspiracy theorist. They think you are an absolute nut job. And it's hard. I mean, yeah.
Bendigo is over 95% vaccinated. So we're a small... Supposedly.
Yeah, do you believe those figures?
No, not really. But people look at us, if you've got two heads because you're not wearing a mask. Yeah. We don't wear masks. I refuse to wear a mask. Yeah. I choose freedom and fresh air. So...
You saw the rhetoric from someone like Jackie Lambie in the Senate. But does that worry you that there's going to be a point where there'll be violence because of the way they talk about the unvaccinated, like you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And the concentration camps, like, who wants to go in them? I mean, is it going to happen? I don't know. That is scary. And that's probably what we're scared about. I've been plotting, what do I do? Do we get a caravan and nick off and hide in the bush? Or you got to have everything in place. And I've got two other children that are here. And
what do they think about the whole mandate situation?
Well, my daughter, so she's a flight attendant. So she was mandated, not by the government, but by Alan Joyce for Qantas. So she...
What is it with all the CEOs that they play out in this narrative as well? I mean, that's what we're finding more and more. Yeah, all the institutions. Yeah. He loved marriage equality, but didn't like equality so much if people don't have the same vaccination status. I find that a bit galling. What do you think?
I think it's terrible, yeah. So, she's left it to the very, very end. She's very much like us. She doesn't believe it. Yeah. She had it to keep her job. She cried when she had to have it.
22.
She's 22. And her and her partner have come to the idea that maybe they can't have children because they've both been mandated to have it to keep their jobs.
So it would create fertility issues. Is that what you're saying?
We don't know. Maybe. We don't know. I mean, everything that we're hearing, I hope we're wrong, but we don't know. And,
when you lose trust in all the institutions, it's hard to know what to believe in the end, isn't it? Because you can't necessarily trust things that you read on the internet, everything. But you just don't know.
Conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy.
Back to your point there. Yeah. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, Mum, does it?
Yeah, and it's not only that. I mean, we do a lot of research, and we've seen too many doctors and scientists talk about what's in it and what it does, and they can't all be wrong. They're all singing the same song. They can't all be wrong. Yeah. So this is what scares me, and what's going to happen to our children's, like my grandchildren. How's it going to turn?
Grandchildren that you don't have yet.
One. I've got,
because there's another child, I take it too. You haven't talked about that child yet.
So he's here. He had to come home from Canada. He was living over there because of COVID.
Was it easy for him to get home?
It was, but it was expensive. He did have to quarantine in Melbourne for 2 weeks, and he was very much like us, wasn't he? Yeah, in the beginning.
Yeah. So but at the start, yeah, definitely, because he had to come back. He was very much like us, but I think as time has gotten on, he just, and it's fair enough. He thinks the way he does, but he just thinks that we've lost. is basically what he said. The government's won, we've lost. So just to keep the relationship, we just don't talk about it. We don't like talking about it with him.
It's fine to say we've lost, but it depends what the stakes are that you're fighting for. And some of the things that are coming up now, which we've all thought, think, hang on, I can't afford to lose this fight.
We don't think we've lost. We haven't lost, but that's just what some people think. And it's the whole thing. And every now and then we kind of think, what are we doing? You know, you do have that bad day where you think that, but they just...
It's hard not to give in, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's hard. It's the hardest thing.
Like, I've been very tempted to stuff it. Let's just get it. But
And I'll scream at her.
but there's something in my gut that's going, no, just hang on a bit longer.
Hold the line.
Hold the line. Hang on, and just hang on as long as you can. And that's what I'll do.
How would you feel about yourself now if you didn't?
Oh, yeah, I know. It's
You weren't allowed to trust your own intuition.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what's been taken away. Like, we should be able to trust our gut feelings.
And it's happening all over the world as well, not just Victoria. It's happening all over the world.
You know, and it's not just about COVID. And, you know, I've seen some interesting things. It's not just it's not about a virus that has a 98% survival.
I heard 99.7%, but anyway, I don't want to split hairs.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll go with that one. It's higher. But it's not just about that anymore. Like, at first it was, and yeah, we were terrified. That first lockdown, because I don't even realise, in Bendigo, we've had 8 lockdowns. Melbourne had 6. We've had 8.
Oh, we've had 2 more than us. Okay, ladies. Well, I'll wind it up there, I think.
Yeah, all right. No worries. So,
Did you want any last words? Any last thing either of you want to say?
I think people my age, so I'm 26, more people my age need to come forward and realise what's going on, because like, I have very minimal friends my age now. I've actually got one friend my age, because none of them will see this.
Oh, that's good. You're doing a cull early. By the time you get to my age, you've only got one friend left anyway. So, you know.
It doesn't bother me too much, but it's just shocking that people they don't see what's going on. And just quickly, I'd like to add too,
Yep.
I had a very unfortunate situation last Friday. I am mask exempt, and my GP will not give me the letter. You also don't have to show it. I went to a nail salon. He kicked me out. He wouldn't allow me in because I wasn't wearing a mask. And then he followed me to the next nail salon and did the same thing. And every single woman, bar one woman in that place, told me to get out because I was wasting their time. And they were doing it for their own health. Needless to say, I left crying and I called the cops, and I've reported to them to every single outlet I could for the way that they treated me, even though I've got a medical exemption for a mask.
Do you think you'll get much support from the police?
The police were actually really nice. He was very, very nice on the phone. That route, we're probably not going to take it any further, but we are other ways, because it's the whole, process.
So you tried to get your nails done and you ended up having to make a police report.
Yeah.
Okay.
Toenails. I need my toenails done.
Didn't want to say anything. You can't see them, and you're blessed not seeing them. I can tell you that they have not been done.
No, they're not done. But yeah, the thing that shocked, obviously, the way he treated me was just disgusting. But the worst part was actually seeing the women turn on me.
the customers.
And they just don't get it. And a lot of them were...
Well, that's what Jackie Lambie's talking about, isn't it? There's that viciousness in the community that's
So
just going to say, it's
they-
your fault. You're
Yes.
causing this problem.
Yes.
Not a government that's policing whether you're allowed to enter a shop or not. No, you are.
Yes.
Even though we're all here, we're unvaccinated, we're fine, we're
Every
alive
other
and
person had a
healthy,
mask.
and have been for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone that's even come close to death from COVID.
No, well, there was someone here a couple of weeks ago who did pass away, elderly lady, but she unfortunately did have other things, and it's really sad that she did.
Comorbidities, elderly lady.
But she didn't die of COVID, and it was there's side effects from it, and potentially from the treatment that was given to her, and that's just unfortunate. But I don't know of anyone die of COVID.
Okay, ladies, I'm going to wrap it up there because I could keep talking to you all night. It's
Yeah.
been great. Thanks very much. Yep. One more thing. Here we go.
Hold the line. That's for you, Dan.
Mum's still working it. She's still working blue. Gotta love it. Thanks, ladies. Excellent. Thank you. And I'll hand you back over, everyone, now to Michael.
Thank you, my friend. How you going again? I fixed the audio and I fixed the camera. Where is he? Move on in here, buddy. Okay, and now this is
Jeremy.
And Jeremy was...
I was a high school teacher, science, maths. Yeah, and before that, an optical dispenser. So working with spectacles and lenses.
And how many of those jobs have you lost?
All of them, both of them. My 2 careers, my main one and my backup career. Yeah, I enjoyed both those industries, and I was pretty, took them seriously, and I was pretty good at them. But no more, unfortunately, for the time being.
How did that feel, especially with the teacher job, losing it? I mean,
it feels terrible. I feel like I'm not taking part in the community in a satisfying way like I was before. I felt like I was a part of the community and doing something good, and I used to, it was nice knowing a lot of the young people. Yeah, so it doesn't feel nice. It doesn't feel nice at all.
And can I ask, if you're in a teacher now and had to stay in there? I mean, basically, I take it it's through integrity of your on personal integrity you decided not to take the vaccination.
Yeah, personal integrity and the application of my conscience. So I had to make a decision that I thought was right morally. As a teacher in a classroom, you're making little decisions all the time about good behavior and ethics and morality, and trying to model good behavior for your students and how to make positive decisions and be a positive influence in the community, whether it's the classroom or the school or wider. So that was something I always took very seriously, and yeah, to be punished for those decisions it's a hard pill to swallow.
And can I ask, if you're in the school now, basically we have to teach the kids, if you're being bullied, especially by a government, just bend over, give in, don't stand up. Is that what we have to teach our children now?
Yeah, well, that's the message is the same, but we're just not living it. If you're being bullied, you need to speak up. You need to make the situation known. Tell the bully that you don't appreciate it, and yeah. So, but society isn't modeling that behaviour that we've been teaching for a long time.
And science now, isn't science about asking questions?
Science is about asking questions and knowing all the basics. So yeah, it's shocking. A lot of the basic science doesn't seem to be science anymore. There seems to be a new science. And I was a biology teacher for quite a while. So a lot of the science as I understood it, now I'm being told isn't correct. But I was happily teaching science for a long time.
And were you teaching kids to question or just accept what they're told in science?
Always question, always ask questions, experiment, put together information and make logical and sound decisions based on it. So,
And what do you think of the people that say now, just follow the science, and yet from what we see, the science is changing and they're not?
Well, if they're following the science, science is something that you can read and it can be understood and it's logical. Like, the scientific justification should be easy to understand or have explained to you. But when the situation at the moment, there's a lot of illogical things going on. So many illogical things happening that contradict each other. Like the masks, for example, and the, viruses being very small, and you don't have to wear a mask here and you have to wear it there, and you need to social distance. And there's just a lot of stuff that, doesn't make sense to me. And I've always considered myself, a scientist at a basic level, enough to confidently introduce the next generation to science so they could take it further. I've done a science degree at uni, but I get called anti-science now by certain people.
Anti-science. So a scientist, it's called anti-science.
Yeah. Well, I don't like to call myself a scientist, but a science enthusiast who's now called an anti-scientist.
Can I ask too, you told me that your wife has also lost her job?
Unfortunately, yes, we're a no income family now.
And what was she doing?
She was working in retail. Yeah. So she doesn't want me to say too much about her situation, but I'm proud that our family is doing what we know is right, and despite the coercion and the
And you
consequences.
told me before that she won Retail Person of the Year or something, or she won an award for that.
Oh yeah, she was very good at her job. Very good at her job. Yeah.
So you got two Victorians who are very good at their job, passionate about their job, love their job, and because they have integrity and they don't want to do what they're being bullied into doing, they now don't have an income.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's correct. And that's what a generation of people are experiencing for 2 years now. There's kids who started prep last year who have only had this experience in their school life. There's very young kids who have had their whole life with this elevated level of stress and division and uncertainty in their lives, which is really sad.
Can I ask you, are you sleeping? Or are you stressing now about the future?
I am stressed and anxious, but I think I'm handling it fairly well. I'm trying to stay positive and be proactive and things like that. So everyone's doing their best.
And what you envision for the future? Have any thoughts going of what you're going to do next?
I honestly don't know. I'm keeping the options open, seeing what the world is going to look like, and seeing how I can fit into it in the best way in the future. Who knows?
Who knows? Well, stay positive, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks for the interview.
No, thank you.
No worries. I wish you the best. I really do.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. I've got to tear up if I keep going. Yeah. Okay, who we got next? There, got David. I might get David. No, David's got two guys. Yeah, we're just going to get David Thrussell in here with two people.
Here we go. I got three of them.
You get the
we can only
chair,
get two.
Oh no, as in three of us all together.
Yep. Have a seat, my friend.
All right, come and join us, guys. Come and join us. Oh, I got the squeezy chair. Here we go.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Café Locked Out. Thank you so much for coming. Yep. No worries. Thank you for coming. No, go ahead. You're fine. Introduce yourselves, if you'd be so kind.
I'm Richard Yates.
And Richard's wife, Karen.
Where are you guys from?
Barkers Creek.
Yeah, Barkers Creek.
Yep. Tell the people where that is.
It's near Castlemaine, just outside of Castlemaine.
Okay, great. And why are you here today?
Oh, well, we would be at the protest tomorrow, but we do have commitments. Otherwise, we would definitely be at the protest. So we watch the Locked Out boys every night. And so we knew that you were coming down here. So we thought we're going to come and support whatever the weather.
Pandemic bill, defeating it. Any way, shape, or form, we could be a part of that. Stand up. And we have been to protests, and we just want to be counted and seen. And we spread the word to our friends and family all we can. So it's about that. And Daniel Andrews and what he's been doing to our state and 6.3 million people is wrong, evil, and there's no stopping him. And that's kind of how we feel. It's just wrong.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask you, one at a time, what the last 2 years has been like for you guys.
Extremely stressful. Just realizing that bit by bit, what you think is normal is now being eroded, and trying to hold it together for all the family, and then slowly watching that everybody, to keep their jobs has to be vaccinated. I've decided not to be. I'm taking long service leave now, so that's incredibly stressful because I'm on leave till January, but who knows what will happen after that. So those last 2 years, I have practiced civil disobedience wherever I can because I want to keep it normal for everybody that's around me. But I've got a lot of elderly relatives, so making sure that they're never going into aged care because we saw what's what's happening there, and that's horrible. And because humanity has just departed so many people. But so for the last 2 years, we're just really we're watching it. We watch it every day. We're really clued up to what's going on, but we just want to keep it grounded and normal for as much as we can. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Karen said, and that's seeing all of our friends and family going through this coercion and the pressure that they have felt, and that they are torn, and it's so wrong to be pressured like that. And now it never stops. You're 2 vax, now the booster, and now the kids.
2 weeks to flatten the curve.
That's it. Yeah. First, it is, and it's just never stops. It's gradualism, slow cooking the frog, all this, and there's so many people I talk to, they think it's over now. They won't go any further. It's done. This is as far as it's going to go. It doesn't stop with them. And you look back to 18 months, where has he ever stopped? It doesn't stop. So
that's where I always come in, and I always go 2 weeks to flatten the curve. People look at me like I'm from Mars when I say that, but I say I can remember when all these people around me all of a sudden started saying 2 weeks to flatten the curve, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I remember that happening. Sorry.
That's it. And it's where's your line in the sand? Where do you say it's enough? When you're quadruple vaxxed, when they're going for the 5-year-olds, a newborn baby has to be vaccinated. Where is your line? Where is your line? And that's what I'm trying to put in people's head. That don't you have a line? Is there anything goes eventually?
That's why they're doing this boiling the frog thing, so that the lines become so confused, because a lot of people do have a red line, but they step forward, they step back, they prevaricate. It's this fog of confusion around this stuff. I think part of that design, in my view, is to eradicate people's clearness, their clarity around, when do we say enough and all this kind of thing, I wanted to ask you, what do you think we can do?
Strength in numbers. I truly believe that. I think even just watching, the earlier protests, and you're thinking, where is everybody? Because it just, it just seems so, like no one really. And I understand the violence too, that was happening. So that would clearly keep a lot of people off the street who would want to be, shot at by our own police. But now, we've been to 2 or 3 of the protests now, and seen them grow so rapidly, and it just brings, and I think that just gives everybody that strength that they see. And there's people that we know that you would never in a million years think they would go to a protest, but their eyes are open, they're listening, they see the numbers, and they want to be part of it. So people that are going to go tomorrow, never in a million years I would have thought they would ever go to a protest, but they want their feet on the ground. They really want their numbers to be added to the growing list of people who all feel the same, and that's defeating this evil that's surrounding them. So I think just as far as average Joe and Jill, that you can just add your feet to the ground when it becomes that we need people on the ground, but also voice in a clear and concise way to people around you, so they understand, that there is more that is going on than, mainstream media is ever going to tell you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I just did with that, just the fear. Once we've seen some people, once that fear is dissipated and that get clarity and they can think about it for themselves, they're not just listening to the mantra around them, friends, government, whatever, pressure. It's amazing to see that liberation that they have, and we try to, with our faith, we try to share that with people, and that overrides that fear. Fear visits everyone. Don't let it live in you. Do not let it live in you.
I was about to point the microphone into your cap, but that's not really going to work, is it? Look, have a look at Richard's cap. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. Really, really fantastic.
And that's what you need. So, don't let that fear live within you. And think for yourself, have your own conscience, your own mind, study scripture. It lifts you up. Jesus is the answer. He truly is. So
now, I just wanted to, for a moment, look around us here. So we're here in the park in Bendigo. You look around, there's hundreds of people here, actually, which is an amazing turnout, because that's as big as the last march in Melbourne, according to the media. There were hundreds of people here, and now we've got hundreds of people in Bendigo as well. I mean, I think we're doing pretty well, aren't we? That could almost be 300,000 by the look of those couple of hundred there. Now, just to wind it up, I just wanted to get your reactions to one word. I'm going to give you one word, okay? And that word is hope.
As in my one word?
No, I'm putting the word to you. I'm putting the word hope to you. Is there hope? What do you think about hope? Should we hope?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. We should have hope. Yeah, absolutely. Just with the power of the people, we will win. Evil will be, kicked to the curb. Good will triumph over evil, no doubt about it. And we're in for the long haul, though. Who knows how long this is going to take us, but we will win. And so I do have hope.
There's been great transitions in the world. Saul to Paul in the Bible. I mean, amazing difference there. We have MPs that are taking and changing sides a bit, thinking about things. There's all these people rising up week after week, more and more numbers. Definitely there's hope. Absolutely gaining in numbers and that. We're getting this. Keep it up out there, everyone. Do not fear. Do not fear.
Show them your cap one more time, Richard. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Thank you. All right, thank you so much, guys. It's been a real really, really fantastic to talk to you. Okay, all right. Here we go. We'll hand you over to Tricky Dicky.
Ladies and gentlemen. Tess? Look, other way. Okay, welcome to How to Be a Millionaire, ladies and gentlemen, for the $1 million question. Which of the Beatles albums is the final album? Sgt. Pepper's, Let It Be, Rubber Soul, or Hi, I'm the Beatles?
Sgt. Pepper's?
That's it, correct. No, that's just mucking around here, a little bit of humour at Café Locked Out. We're here with Tess. Move in a bit more, come in a bit centre. We're here with Tess. Tell us your story.
Well, I lost my job on one of the statistics. I was working for Beeline for over 21 years, and
thank you for your service.
I'm glad I got a thank you. I didn't get a thank you from them.
Dirty bastards.
Yeah, so I lost my job after 21 years, and it was, after over 2 weeks. I was initially upset. I'm not now, but happened about 4 weeks ago.
And did you try and enter into negotiations with?
Yes, I did. No, it didn't go very well at all. They wanted to know within a couple of days what we were going to do, if we wanted the jab or we didn't want the jab.
You only had a few days to decide.
We had a few days, and then they were just harassing us until the 15th of October, where I was stood down from my job. And then
did the unions help you at all? Did the unions get involved?
The union did absolutely nothing.
Sitting in the office like John Secker, taking their kickbacks.
Yeah, their advice was, it's your job or the jab.
That's it. The unions are not supporting us. They're not supporting the worker. I mean, what kind of left-wing union doesn't support its work?
That's right. Exactly. They told me, no, you either get the jab or lose your job, and that's the way it is.
That's shocking. What kind of world are we living in? Communist country? Are we living in a communist country? What do you think of it all?
Yes, we're definitely living in the communist country for sure.
Some kind of Marxist mischief is afoot, don't you think? I think definitely. What are your thoughts on the whole event? I mean, do you have a kind of broader kind of conception of what's going on at the moment?
I believe it's a new world order thing, and I don't think that our politicians have any power over it. And it's just going to go through. That it's a global thing, and it's
globalist.
Yeah, globalists. They're taking over, and I think it'll be money next, and it'll be homes after that. Yeah.
It's a terrible situation we're all in, isn't it? Do you have any advice for people at home? How do you recommend people resist and fight this kind of thing?
I think you've got to be true to yourself. The one thing that I did in my job was I said I'm not having it, and I stuck with that, regardless of losing my job. It's just a job, but you've still got to, at the end of the day, you've still got to be able to look yourself in the mirror, and be able to live with yourself. And I know that I wouldn't have been able to do that if I had have got the jab.
So you held the line.
I held the line, plus also I had anaphylaxis too, so I couldn't actually get the jab anyway. Not that I would want it, but...
To the viewers at home, explain anaphylaxis a little bit.
Allergic to a lot of drugs. I had the flu shot and I was allergic to that. So I thought, rather than risk it, I'm just not going to have it. So, yeah.
Good advice, And did you try and get a medical exemption?
I did try to get a medical exemption, and the doctor told me to make an appointment 2:30 the next day, and I found out that after that, a few days later, that he was sacked that day. So
Sacked that day.
he was sacked.
Because of this, you think? You don't know?
I'm not sure whether it was just my case or cases in general, but he wasn't going to get the jab either. So
Oh, really? Oh, you
And
would have got the arse.
he told me the whole business was terrible. Yeah.
Isn't it disturbing that people in the, like, there are many nurses, there are like 3,000 or 4,000 nurses up in Queensland. These people are quitting. These are people who are medical experts. I mean, if there's so many people within the medical community itself that have problems with this. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, exactly. I've actually gone to Centrelink to try and get on the dole now after 21 years, and I've been been blown away the amount of doctor jobs that there are going at the moment. So many doctors have left their positions, which is a good thing. Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously there's this kind of thing going on at the moment where it's called the Great Resignation, and but people, what do you think it's got to do with? It's obviously got to do with the vaccine mandates, but the media itself continues to lie. What are your thoughts on the media?
I think the media is absolutely disgraceful. Channel 7, Channel 9, ABC, just disgraceful. How they're just censoring everything. Social media is censored as well. It's just I'm just over it. I'm over medical. I'm over doctors. You know, and I think
I'll join you.
everybody feels the same way.
What do you think of the turnout? It's pretty good there, at least 200 or 300 people.
Yeah, it's pretty good turnout. Yeah. I actually come from Heathcote.
Heathcote?
Yeah. It's about 35 minutes down the MacGyver Highway.
Shout out to the Heathcote Massive, you know.
Hi, Heathcote.
There you go. Hi to Heathcote. Well, we're going to throw to Damo next. Here we go. He's coming on. Thank you, Tess.
Thanks, Richard. And thank you. Yeah. I'll get some more people in. Get some more Bendigoians in. I'll grab this one, brother. Yeah, I'll get that one. Put you two there. So now I had a mother and daughter team, and now I've got a father and son team. I have Paul and Callum. G'day, Paul.
Hey, how are you, Damien?
Good, thanks, Paul. And how are you, Callum?
Good.
Right, sounds working. So anyway, Paul came up to me and said, g'day. He said, I'd really like to come on because I'd just like to talk about what's happening with the tradesmen in the community. So I'll hand it over to Paul and he can let us know.
Well, look, I suppose I want to hand it out to all the local suppliers out there that are trying their best. Like, obviously, they're realising they're mandated. They're under threat of being fined if we walk in without masks and without vax. We're actually really good customers, and so most of them are really playing the game, and we're finding ways and means to get items and to get stock to do our business. We rent our houses, so we're chippies, and I'm sort of speaking on behalf of a lot of tradies that we deal with, that are mates of ours and that we work with. And most of them are unvaxxed. Most of them don't want to get vaxxed and aren't going to get vaxxed. But we're getting locked out, man. I
heard that they say that 95% of Bendigo is vaxxed. Do you think that's right?
Yeah, it's probably around 25-30%. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah,
We're doing the numbers. We're doing the numbers of the people at the protest and the population of Melbourne, and thinking even if half of the people at the protest were vaccinated, the numbers couldn't add up for the people vaccinated. So
do you think it's moved beyond just being vaxxed or not vaxxed? Like now people are just really worried about a whole passport system and what that's leading to and what sort of society we're going to anyway?
Well, look, obviously, I'm not saying I'm an anti-vaxxer, yeah? I'm ex-army, ex-police. I was a copper for 12 years and I've been in the army a couple of times and in the chocks. But, I've had plenty of vaccines and stuff like that. This is about being mandated and being told by the government that what you must do. And I guess really today what I'm trying to get out is that a majority of the tradies that we talk to have only got vaxxed to keep their jobs. And my wife has lost a job because she chose not to get vaxxed and for health reasons. And we chose not to get vaxxed for health reasons. And the guys in our suppliers and our local hardwares and Bunnings, we know all the boys down K-Flat, up at Epsom. Here's to you guys. If any of you are listening, we love you boys, and you always look after us. We know you're only doing your job, but all us tradies that chose not to get vaxxed, we're struggling, man. I can't today. I've just been kicked out of one of our local hardwares. And they said, look, we love you boys. We know you got accounts here. We know you're always coming in and buying our stuff. And they said, without your mask, without being vaxxed, we can't serve you anymore. You got to stand outside. And half the time we go in, we don't know what we need. We might have to choose 12 different products. So we're going to put the heat on them to have to go in and choose those 12 products, bring them to the door. And then, it's just ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous.
Do you believe that the Australian government would ever get to a point where it could exert such control, or in particularly the Victorian government, in our case, could exert such control over your life?
Absolutely.
It's putting stress on people, isn't it? Yeah. It's just stressing people out. People don't need extra stress. So.
What sort of stress have you been under, Callum?
I haven't been. It's not me personally, I don't think. For business owners, I think it's creating extra stress they don't need. Yeah. It's not necessary. So
I want to put a word out to what's going on up in Catherine.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I'm involved in men's health groups, men's gatherings. We do them 2 or 3 times a year with a group, and it's men's mental health. And we run circle groups, and we connect to country, etc., etc. And what's going on up in Catherine at the moment is absolute disgrace. It is genocide. They're holding people within the communities there. You got the police, you got the army, you got health officials going up and saying, if you don't get vaxxed, you're not going to go to the local supermarket. You can't get food. You can't get this. You can't get that. We're not going to let you out of the communities. They're locking the communities down, not letting them out. I mean, and they're stressing them out. And these poor people, they don't know what. They call it white man's poison. And what's going on up there is absolutely outrageous. And to those people out there that are doing nothing, what are you going to say to your grandkids in 20 years? And what did you actually do about it? Like these poor people are crying out for help. They're crying out to the world and saying, we need your help. Black men, we need your help, and calling out for our help. And no one's doing anything. And these poor people are just being put under duress to take the vax. And
what do you think things like when you hear, like I constantly hear the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, saying, oh, no, there's no coercion. It's still choice. You don't have to have the vaccine.
Well, obviously that's a load of BS, man. Like it's either shut your business down or go get it. So there is coercion. I mean,
he calls himself a Christian, but how do you think he could sleep with a clear conscience of a night time?
Well, I don't think he's a Christian, man. He wouldn't know what that word was. So, I was brought up that way, and that guy is definitely not a Christian. And probably not so much Scott Morrison, Mad Dan. That guy, he's not human. He's even not from this planet. That bloke. I get lost for words for what's actually happening around this place, and you never would have thought that these young people would, or even adults like ourselves, would go through these times and experience these times. I think that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think something is going to come good out of it all, but all the tradies and businesses are being put under so much pressure. It's just crazy.
How's it affected your home life, either of you, like between, family and close personal friends with different opinions than what you two have?
We're sort of on the same wavelength, our family on the same wavelength. We do have family that are quite happy to go and get vaxxed and believers in that COVID's a real thing, et cetera, but...
Are they still happy to mix with you?
Yeah, they are, but the conversation...
You don't want to bring it up, though, do you? Because it's creating that segregation between families, and that's what they want. So you try to...
Why do they want that?
Why do they want it? I don't know. But it's not good, though. They want to create that segregation, so there's 2 groups. And there's 2 groups. The group that are vaccinated, they want the people that are vaccinated, and yeah.
So divide and conquer, basically.
Absolutely. It has divided friends, some good friends of mine, and family that you can't have an easy conversation now. I mean, it's been rammed into us by TV, mainstream media, like just lie after lie after lie. And look, a good example is going down to the protests on Saturday. There was 500,000 on the last one. I couldn't go last Saturday. This weekend, they're talking about having 1 million people down there. That's 1 million people out of Melbourne. That's a lot of people that are actually standing up for it. And then, Channel 9, Channel 10 stand up and say, oh, these 1,000 animals, or, there's only 1,000 people turned out. Like, honestly, they got to be tried, these people. These mainstream media are absolutely...
The media are actually the narrative, really, aren't they? And you feel like sometimes the politicians are following the media more than the media are even following the politicians.
They're all in the same. They're all in the same boat, mate. They're all playing the same game, and I'm not here to say why they're doing it. Obviously, I have my own ideas, and I'm down the rabbit hole a little bit. But I guess my main reason for coming on today is just saying that, from all the tradies, we just come from a local like a toolbox meeting where there was probably 20 tradies there. Half of them got vaxxed and said, I definitely did not want to get vaxxed, but I had to keep my job. I got to pay my mortgage,
But that's the majority, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's.
You say, it's best not to bring it up in polite company because you don't want to end up fighting with anyone, but it's like consumed everything. So how do you go about not bringing it up when you're around other people?
Yeah, there's nothing else to talk about. Yeah.
I honestly defer the conversation now. I think most people aren't really ready to hear what I say, and it's got to a point where only today, as I said, I nearly got kicked out. The lady said, "Where's your mask?" I said, "I don't wear them. I'm exempt." She goes, "Well, I need to see exemption." And it's like, I don't have to say exemption.
Those bad relationships with people you would normally have a good conversation with.
And they're awesome people. They're people that we normally go and, "How you going? Look, hey, you having a great day?" And
that must be really difficult in a regional community because that can happen in Melbourne. I might never see that person ever again, but I suppose in a regional community, there's a good chance you're going to bump into that person in the street, yeah?
Well, we're in these hardwares in Bunnings every single day. We're buying products every single day. I know nearly all the staff members at both the Bunnings here, at the two main hardwares here, and it's really sad. And we just said we hate seeing the pressure put on you guys that you actually have to put, you have to confront us about masks, you have to confront us about, have you got your double vax? And sorry, boys, even though you got an account, you got to stand at that front door like a leper. I might as well put a Jewish badge on my bloody arm. And it's no different, It
feels to me like Daniel Andrews is under some external pressure as well. Do you think that's the case? Do you think there's some pressure? No, please.
I do. I don't think Daniel Andrews is from this planet, mate. I just, as Dale's probably going to talk a bit later, that guy's not human. That guy is not even from this planet. He's has no conscience. He has no remorse. He has no heart, no soul, and. Yeah, and what's surprising is the amount of people that are playing along with this and are sucked into it. And,
I still have people on my Facebook feed that are really big Daniel Andrews fans. Less and less of them, I'll admit, but there's still some holdouts. So what do you make of that?
Well, I probably don't want to say what I believe on that one, but
I think you just did.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a certain class of people that do follow him and find it very difficult to believe that what he's doing is wrong. And there's still a certain amount of people that believe there's COVID-19 is out there, even though, flu's disappeared, any sort of colds, ailments have disappeared. I think lung infections have disappeared. It's all just COVID now, and the stats show you. CDC have it all there. Go to the websites and check it out. The lies that have come through mainstream media, it's just absolutely crap. Yep.
All right. Thanks, fellas. That's fantastic. It's great to talk to you both. Is there any last words you want to say, either of you?
No. I just want to say to the tradies in Bendigo, stand up for what you believe, boys. We're all behind you. And, and I feel for you guys that are running they're in the hardwares, they're in the suppliers, and in all the businesses that really just were forced to take this fax to keep your livelihood. And I feel for you, and we support you whether you took it or not. We're behind you, and we'll fight this out to the end, man. Thanks for your time. Yeah.
Thanks to both of you. Okay, well there we go. I've just heard from a couple of tradie, a father and a son team of Paul and Callum, and I'll hand you over now to Michael. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, g'day. Welcome to the show.
How you going?
Okay, what's your name?
Nathan Francis.
Now, you told me that you were a teacher as well?
I was a teacher, yeah. I was only a substitute CRT teacher. So teacher was sick, I'd come in and take the class, yeah.
And you've lost your job because of no
suspended, but yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Now, the other thing you said, you've set up a youth group or something?
We're in the process of setting up a youth group, yeah. Yep.
And are you having any issues with that? Like, are they not allowing you into a venue to set up a venue unless you're vaccinated or any of that stuff?
Yeah, having a bit of that trouble, but we've we think we've got a venue, so hopefully next week we can put the word out.
And what sort of things are you thinking of offering the youth?
Mental health is our first and foremost, the welfare with what's gone on lately. Last couple of years, I think the kids out there are really struggling, and we want to bring them all together, and hopefully they can build friendships and trust us and build a good relationship with them as well, and they can get back to a normal-ish sort of life, hopefully, and learn life skills again.
Have you personally found the kids suffering?
Yeah, you can see it when you walk out in the street, and that you can see that their heads are down and they're not really confident wearing their masks and that. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of that. Yeah, and we've also had people contact us saying that there's really big need for this. So, yeah.
And you feel that the not only the job losses but the segregation is affecting the kids in the town?
Yeah, it is. Yep. Yeah, I think that goes without saying. Yeah. Yep.
And yourself, what are you doing for work now yourself? Are you
just trying to get by? I'm just trying to survive. I saved up a bit. I knew where this was going, so I sort of prepped for this moment. I'm getting by at the moment, but it would be nice to have some sort of income soon, but I've got enough to get me by.
And what do you think's happening at the moment? What do you think do you really think this is just for our health, just to keep the old people from dying?
This was never about health. About control. More than control. This is an agenda that's been around for centuries. If you look into it deep enough, I think you'll find that this is not about a virus at all.
Are you surprised that it's happening literally at the same time around the world? Like a lot of people lost their job on the 15th, and it was the same in Italy, same here.
Well, our governments are a multi-generational criminal cabal, so I think they're all working together on that one.
So that seems to be the way, doesn't it? It's hard to get away from that. Are you frightened of the future at all?
I'm not scared. I think they want us in fear. I come from a place of love. I'm not fearful about anything.
Yeah. And you're hopeful that we're somehow going to get through this?
I think we will. It's going to get a lot darker yet, but I think we will get through it. Yes. Yeah.
And one of the ways you talk about love is one of the ways of actually helping youth. This is one way of actually coming together.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yep. This is. Yeah. If we can bring them all together and give them some sort of outlet from what's going on, leave your phones in the box, and we'll just concentrate on what we're concentrating on and get back to doing life skills again, building fires, tying shoelaces, tying knots in ropes. All those life skills that are not taught anymore in schools. We're going to bring them back. Yeah.
Are you angry at the way that so many people now seem to be becoming very intolerant and nasty, domming each other in? Are you experiencing that here in the city? We're getting a lot of people domming their neighbours in.
Yeah, there is a bit of that going on. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous, and that's not the Australian way.
Do you think that surprises you in a country town where basically you all know, a lot of people know each other?
Yeah, I'm sure there's people watching this now that know me. My head's up now, so hey, I'm not taking this thing ever. So there you go.
Wow. That's
footy with Taco, actually.
Did you?
They used to feed me all the time.
Come in, buddy.
Chris. He's a good man, Chris.
Squeeze down.
He's
So what's your name?
Chris.
Chris. So I heard you say good on you for that.
Yeah, most certainly. Someone standing out and putting his head out in the crowd and just saying what needs to be said, I think.
And what do you feel needs to be said at the moment?
Just the fact that, we've all got a right to make a choice, and whether it be forced into vaccination or not, just seems completely... I'm just from a small country town, and just seems completely absurd that something's been forced on me to go and do a simple job as cleaning, for instance, I've survived 2 years through the pandemic without any COVID case. So I went and got a PCR test after having a close contact, and then realised how obnoxious and bullshit this all is. So I was sucked into it at the start, but now I've quit my job. I'm sort of doing my own thing at the moment. I've got a little daughter, looking forward to Christmas. Head up, and just proud of this bloke speaking up and knows his government, terms and conditions, because you got to these days, mate. So,
well, the reason we started this show, what we felt was they were trying to silence us. So we were in the arts, and basically the art world is the most silent of all, and we felt that for everyone that gets up and speaks, it lets out ripples of courage to the community.
It's good to see everyone
and that's what you got to do. You got to talk up.
Correct. No, that's it.
And because otherwise we lose.
Good on you, mate. I'll talk to you later.
No worries. I'll go see what Damien is. Sure. Come in, Catherine.
I'll come on in. And do you want to come in?
I think Damien's out there looking for the next victim, but we've got Catherine that we brought up here from the city.
Hello, Michael. Isn't this been fun today?
It's a good quite a good turnout here.
It is a great turnout.
Yeah, I think it's just a fantastic turnout. Yeah, hundreds of people here. Same, I said just before, the same as that march in Melbourne the other week where there was hundreds of people there, you know?
And a dog.
Well, we're counting all of the dog's 4 legs. That's what the police do, so why not? There's plenty of people and there's plenty of dogs, plenty of families, and it's been a wonderful turnout. And we're all lots of children,
And I have to say at the moment that most people are not happy.
No, they're not. Obviously, they all want to know what's happening with the pandemic bill next week, as well as they want to know what is going to occur once the state of emergency finishes on the 15th. So, and I'm just having a look at some of the questions that are. Don't forget your social distance. No, it's called physical distance, Trumper Punky. It's called physical distancing, not social. We don't social distance, my friend. We never.
So, Catherine, instead of attacking the people, why don't
I'm just answering their questions.
we got a heckler. She's heckling. You, out of all of us here, you are going into Parliament next week, and they reckon Tuesday is going to be D-Day. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's what it's looking like at the moment. The government's actually said that we're debating the pandemic bill next week, which will be on Tuesday. And for others to know, if you've seen any, she said, gets her amendments, she will vote. No, that's not correct, Dave. That's not going to happen. What's actually going to occur, we had a meeting this afternoon where the government only wanted to discuss the bill as it stands, as well as their House amendments, which are theirs. And they didn't want to discuss my amendments at all, or any other person's amendments this afternoon. It was a bit
shifty, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound a bit shifty?
Well, I had a meeting with them, as everybody would know, last Thursday, and my staff had a meeting with their staff, their advisors, on Tuesday. With one of their professors who they've been getting their advice around the mandates. So from that meeting on Tuesday, we raised some questions, which the government still hasn't come back with the answers to our questions. So we've requested the legal advice that they are saying they're coming up with their amendments, as well as we've asked to see the health advice from where they're getting their directions from. So that still is not forthcoming.
They'll be making that up right now. They'll be printing those up right now, I imagine.
Well, what was interesting in the meeting on Tuesday was that the government has relied on verbal advice, as well as the government gives verbal health advice. And we've known that from the start, when the language changed to the Daily Dans are your health advice. So they are not interested in writing the bill in a way that they can't continue on.
Sorry, does that mean that there's no paper trail? It sounds like there's no paper trail.
It would seem that, so the Chief Health Officer has given a monthly report, and the monthly report is just around the directions. And what should be attached is like a brief, which no one's ever seen, because it's quite a parliamentary, linguistically, a legal document to be able to, it's meant to be attached. So the government's actually suggesting is we're going to start showing everybody that, which they have not done from the start. So that's not really a concession. We've actually said, for myself and my team has actually said, well, when you're getting this advice or making this advice up, it should be released immediately. So if you're having a meeting with experts, after that meeting, it should be written up, and then it should be transparent and shown to the community immediately.
It would make you suspicious that they had something to hide.
Well, I've always thought in a pandemic situation, you would hope that by actually being extremely transparent where they're getting their opinions from or their health opinions, and there are other people in the community who are health trained, they could actually jump in and say, what about this, or how can we help you with that, but they have never done that. So, and sorry?
Do you think that the way that they're not making any amendments, and they haven't taken out detention, that they're pretty confident they're going to get it passed?
It would seem that they were. I got that impression. I got that impression in that meeting that they are going to be full steam ahead next week, and I would say that they were doing that because they feel that they are quietly confident that they're going to get it up in its current form, only with their House amendments.
Well, that's pretty scary. So the only way to really chance to fight is to people to come tomorrow to the biggest march and try put as many people as we can on the streets of Melbourne to show them that we don't want it.
Absolutely, because obviously we had 500,000. So the first march was about 50,000. The second march that I was there and was part of was about 150, and last week was probably 500,000. So let's hope we can get 1 million marching tomorrow, and it will be a show of strength of the community in Victoria, that we do not want to live under these mandates or these directions, and nor do we want to have a bill that takes away any of our freedoms and our rights. So let's hope that that's what happens. The people will come out and show that they want the bill to be killed.
Kill the bill.
Kill the bill.
Yeah, and it does make them nervous, I think. It absolutely makes them nervous. You
know? I think it makes them sit up straight. They are still under the delusion with their propaganda that the 90% of people who have been vaccinated are happy with.
I don't believe any of those numbers.
No,
I don't believe any of this. I don't believe anything they say. Frankly, not a word of what they say do I believe.
Yeah, and nor should you, because it has been all propaganda, spin and marketing, and we can't live like that. We need to live in our truth, and the people who are out there who have got their stories, they should come forward. I enjoy reading all your emails, but please don't make them anonymous. Please actually say which is the specialist that is refusing your care. Which doctor is saying that you can't see them? Actually,
shame them. You mean?
No, it's not shaming. No, just it's be direct, be truthful. If everybody here actually shares their stories, has the confidence to put them down, then they're the things that I can table in Parliament. They're the things that I can say, well, this specialist, I've got this condition, and they've refused to see me because I'm not vaccinated. And that's a ludicrous health situation to be in, to be refused care because you haven't had a vaccine. That's not how we. It's wrong.
Well, we're going to move on. Damien's got someone else to come on. Thanks, Catherine, for that.
Yeah, and see you all tomorrow. And yeah, this is going to, and don't believe the lies and don't repeat misinformation. And if you want to hear about anything about me, just talk to me directly.
She'll be there tomorrow. Okay, thanks very much, Catherine.
Thank you, Michael. I just, I knew Catherine would keep going for a while, so just wanted to get a man I've seen him do some live streams, and I saw him do one in particular when Daniel Andrews came to Bendigo, not just quite recently, to open a TAFE, and Dale got pretty close to him. And then I saw him do a live stream afterwards, and he was talking about what it was like to even see Daniel Andrews at that point in time, which is really quite interesting to listen to. So I'd love to just hear what Dale's got to say about it. Hey, mate, how you going? All right?
Mate, good to see it. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, I guess. Or if there's start there, and then we'll shift on to other stuff as well.
Well, so a mate told us he was coming down Wednesday, and we thought, nah, he's not coming. They'll get a local MP. And then we got down there, and I saw him, and then there was a long story about we got there. It's quite weird. There's something higher sort of speaking to me there, so I think I went there for a reason. That's another story.
What do you mean? What sort of high thing was speaking to you? Because people keep saying we're in a spiritual battle, and a lot of people are talking more openly about their connection to a higher power or God or whatever that is for them. So yeah, what's that for you?
So for me, like, you know, if we go the deeper, either we're all, you know, you can say children of God, or I say that we're fractals of the universe. We got God's creation within us, and the way it talks to me is synchronicities and intuition, and sometimes it can be voices. And I had a clear thought to go around the back of the building. I said, and I thought the week before I was going to meet this guy. I don't know, and I went in, and there was something I needed to see there. Anyway, I went around the back corner, and the weirdest thing was the whole. You think, like, how many people want like harm done to this guy? Not that we want that, but there was no.
Some people do.
There was. Hey, I'm not advocating that, but like there was no security. And I'm like, the whole thing is just weird. Like, why would you have? And to me, they brought him out near the end where all the people were getting rowdy in Hargrave Street, and he could have come out the back of Pall Mall here. There would have been nothing. So they wanted a public reaction, which was shown on the news that night. But anyway, I got around, and I saw people, how you say, maneuvering him or whatever. And he's, I don't know how deep you want to go, man. But he's,
go as deep as you want. Let's go deep.
I don't think he's human, man. That thing. It's like, to me, he looked like a biological AI. And the biggest stuff of what's going on with the vaccine, because with the jab or whatever that's happening now, that not a lot of people are talking about it's an artificial intelligence. It's a transhumanist agenda. That's what this is about. It's about it.
Is that the graphene oxide in it?
Part of it too. There's technology in this stuff, and it's nothing new. Like David Icke's been talking about this forever, and that's a high for. And what we're seeing now with the Indigenous people, in particular, if you're looking at them, their connection to this earth, and something special in their DNA. But we all have it as well too. We're all light beings, but their connection to the earth. What this infiltration is artificial. It wants anything that's the natural world. It doesn't want, and we're seeing it through this agenda. So that's the high level stuff of what I'm seeing happening.
So who's behind it with Daniel Andrews? Who do you think's behind that?
As far as putting him there, okay. So I had an encounter with this other guy. He was a plainclothes police officer there. He was Daniel Andrews. So if you watch the footage of when he comes out, he's the main guy marking Andrews, monitoring him. And he seemed to be the only one in there. There's about 4 local cops. They hadn't brought in any Melbourne ones. And this guy was overly nice to me. He gave me like a wink and said, it's all under control, Dale. Don't worry, it's all good.
What did he mean by that?
I don't know. To me, there's some sort of circus going on here, and they know something big is going down. And Dan, it's like the whole sack Dan thing. It's like, we sack down, what happens? It's like this system and the AI and all that continues to roll on.
And you felt like this guy was a foreign operator. I've watched your live stream. That's the impression I got. Yeah.
I don't necessarily think he was bad though either, and I do. What we need to bring this down. Unfortunately, us little people, we can only do so much. We can make noise. We do hold the power, but we have to have people within the compartmentalized structure that are gonna stop it on certain levels, whether it be politicians, military, media. We need people in these positions to start speaking out or to buck the system. And even like with the low-level cops too, it's like you need senior sergeants and commissions and stuff that they're going to break it.
But the higher up the chain, the corporate chain you go, seems to be more constrained that people are by their position. So what chance do you think we have of them turning against it and turning about, the gold and the hills that they are going to make out of the enforcing the COVID narrative?
Well, I don't hold any faith in them. But and the opposite of what I said too is if you look at the pyramid structure, is like the people hold the power in the middle. If you make like a human pyramid, if the bottom person moves, the whole thing falls down. And that's we do have all the power, and that's what this whole process is now. It's about us remembering that.
So what do we have to do to bring that back? I keep hearing people it's like they're looking for that messianic moment. Like they've got this, I know that something happened in the 1964 referendum, and if you only bring that to the parliament, they'll all be sacked and suddenly we'll all be free. And I keep hearing different versions of this sort of conspiracy all the time. It's like people are looking for that, messianic moment, and I don't think it's necessarily coming. So what is it that we can do to bring about, to restore our community? Because I keep talking to people from in Bendigo, Geelong, Melbourne, wherever we've been with this show, and that they're traumatized. There's a community that's been traumatized. Whether it's coronavirus or not coronavirus, people are really, really, really hurting, and no one is bringing any resolution to that, particularly no one in positions of authority or politicians. So what can we do?
It's a numbers game, and it's information. And it's like, I mean, I've been on this path for many years, and I'm trying to tell people about this shit 10, 15 years ago. It's pointless.
What did you
look at this now? I'd never, sleepy old Bendigo. We got, yeah, like it is changing. And the thing is, information's going to bring it down. And when people find out how evil this system is, which you can't stop this process now too, because what's happening is, like, have you ever seen that one where they do this, they do this thing where they throw a gorilla walks through and you got to count the basketball going right, and the subconscious mind will never, you won't see the gorilla. Only like 2 people out of 100 will see it. But then once it's pointed out to you, you can never ever not see it again. So once someone's open, that's it. They're not going back. And they're like, look what's happening now.
The elephant in the room.
I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating stuff. But like,
so what were you trying to? What did you think you saw 10 or 15 years ago that you were trying to bring people's attention to?
Well, look, so like the videos I do stuff about, like, is a lot of the secret operations, MK Ultra, Tavistock.
And what is MK Ultra?
MK Ultra actually has connections into Bendigo. With so the man that brought it into America was Dr. Death. What's his name? Mengler. So Mengler, and like it's far bigger than Mengler too. And MK, that trauma-based mind control has been around for thousands of years.
So what is MK Ultra, just for our audience?
It's a CIA-based program that actually came out in the 70s. It was brought over from the Nazis, which so it was the OSS in America, which became the CIA, which was started by and even the CDC we see today, same thing. All of that was done by paperclip.
So it's mind control, coercion.
They worked out if you can traumatize the brain, the natural response of the brain is to pass that memory into a compartmentalized part of the brain, because you can't deal with the base trauma. And then by doing that, you can create assassins, you can whatever you want.
So this is a government program, basically.
And it came over to Australia with people who know Anthony Kidman, Nicole Kidman's father, John Gittinger. They brought these programs over to Australia, and he worked at Sydney University. But then Mengler's daughter actually worked in Bendigo.
Right. What did she? Mengler's daughter worked in Bendigo. You hear it all on Café Locked Out. No, say it here. Good. You saved it for here. Thanks. And what did she do? What did she do here?
I'm not going to say that because I know that. But yeah, these programs did come in here. Even Tavistock, I've heard recently, came in through Geelong and then came up into the.
So just for our audience again, can you tell us what Tavistock is?
So again, it's another it's like a human relation. It's basically social sciences, right, on the surface level, but it's basically to learn how to control and create a civilization. And this is what we've seen over 50 years in Australia since World War II, is introduction of social conditioning to the point where we've had an apathetic Australian society now, not by design. So it's like people know the Beatles. This is a Tavistock creation. So when they brought in, they had the Summer of Love 1963, and the whole point was they had the 1950s Housewife too, and this was part of the CIA Rockefeller as well, where they wanted to destroy the family unit through many different means, but they were doing that as well through pop culture. So this is where the Beatles had the nice mop tops, then become the hippies, flower power, and they introduced acid and all this sort of stuff. But so that was one of the things they do.
So it was to undermine morality, basically.
Basically, yeah. And this was there was a guy, Aaron Russo, that worked with Rockefeller too, and he spoke about breaking up the family unit, as well as there was another one, Dr. Richard Day, 1969. Have you heard of him? So he was a Planned Parenthood Rockefeller insider. He actually said he was talking in 1969 about the internet, that they wanted to make girls and boys the same. In 1969, he spoke about the breakup of the family unit. And he also said the kids were going to go to school longer, but not learn anything. And this is when I started doing education in Bendigo. So I trained as a teacher. They brought in the Bendigo education plan. It was a guy, Ron Lake, who was the principal up here. He started this education. And then the more I started looking into it, this is exactly what's happening now. So they ripped down all the buildings in Bendigo. they redesigned them as these new smart buildings. And they called them open learning centers. And it's destroyed education in this town. I've seen it on that level, but they also did it for the interconnectivity of devices, which is becoming smart grid. And then Bendigo actually became the first mandatory smart meter place in the world. So California trialed it. So they've run a lot of things through here. They did first in the whole world. And then Bendigo was, they got the Strong Cities Network.
Is Bendigo part of the Strong Cities Network?
Whole of Victoria is Strong Cities.
I knew Melbourne was, but the whole of Victoria.
Whole of Victoria, but they've picked here, Golden Square up the road here is picked to be the first smart city. And then when we had the first lockdown last year, they were putting in these small cell operations in Bull Street. My friend ran with the Geiger counter, and we actually had a picnic over there the other week. And I'm like, do not sit under that small cell. These like,
why not? Why wouldn't you sit under there?
It's just pumping out serious EMS, right?
What's CMS?
EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. But then they, so Bendigo Council too. Bendigo Council's in with China. They've promoted Bendigo Council's ultra Marxist. Even to the point we had, they banned the ring girls here when they had a boxing event because they said it's sexist. But then there's all Smart City, Smart Suburbs program in Bendigo. We were going to the council a few years ago about this, and they were checking all the different highways around the town, marking which cars were coming in, and then no one's got an electric car in Bendigo.
We've got two more to do in my.
All right, I'll go on forever.
I'm going to ask one more question because I wanted to talk to you about something because I've seen some of your videos. And I just want to ask one thing, Dale. You've talked a lot about the influence of. Just going to wait for the motorbikes.
Rebels.
Sent down by Daniel Andrews, of course. Proudly brought to you by Daniel Andrews, the local rebels. And I just want to ask Dale one more question. That was about, because I've watched some of your videos. I've heard you talk a lot about the influence of satanic worship. Is that something you could talk about?
Yeah, no, this is going to come out in Australia. Obviously, like the one thing that I'd like that I wanted people to see with the protests that are going on in Melbourne.
Hang on, we'll just wait a second for Daniel Andrews, Hell's Angels to go past.
It's a bad intersection, this one in
Yeah, nothing like an outside broadcast.
Takes a long time to go green there.
We're just waiting on the motorcyclists. I'm sure the light's already green, but they just like being here. They like the sound of their machines, which you can understand. Yeah. And there they go. And there they go up the straight, and it looks fantastic. Okay. Now, just that last question, and I think it's an appropriate question now if we've experienced that. I just want to ask about the satanic influences that I've heard Dale talking about in some of his videos.
Oh, I mean, okay, so like quick one, it impacts Central Victoria. I've come across many ritual abuse survivors, especially in the last few months. But there was a local satanic ring in a town about an hour from here called Rushworth, which strong connection here too. So people go read Raina Michelson's testimony.
She
was psychologist, child psychologist. She had to flee Victoria because of what she uncovered here, and they actually had an ombudsman that had to come up and look over all these cases.
So it's satanic abuse of children.
A lot of satanic abuse, a lot of it involving Victoria Police as well, and some very high level people. But it's a real thing. I've done interviews with Rachel Vaughan on multiple occasions. She speaks about, so her father's involved in the Beaumont killings as well. It impacts government.
On that note,
go read Raina's testimony. But yeah,
whose testimony is it?
Raina Michelson.
Raina Michelson's testimony. Okay, excellent. Thanks, Dale. It's great to talk to you, mate. It's great to finally meet you, mate. Good on you, mate. Thanks, buddy. Good on you. And I'll hand you over to Michael.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Oh, okay.
You've done well. You set the record for the longest time. I think so, yeah. He set the longest time. I'm going to set the shortest time.
No worries, no worries, no worries. So first, I'll tell us your name.
My name's Elby.
Albie, and how are you handling all the segregation and the mandates in Bendigo?
I'm handling it honestly, and I will be honest, because I'm a little bit out of touch with all of this that's going on because I'm not on social media and I don't have a smartphone.
But it's social media's not been segregated. I mean, going into shops and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. I'm handling it in a sense because I'm not being shut out of my supermarket at this stage, but I have been into a couple of places where I've been refused entry. And
are these by people you know?
Yes, this is by people that I know. And also they've expressed how disappointed and sad that they are that I can't come in because I've actually been a valued customer of theirs. But they've actually said, government rules, we've got to go by the government rules, we can't afford the fines, this, that and the other. But in a sense, they were wanting to let me in. But I do understand where they're coming from and why they're sort of keeping me out. But
And why is that? You say you understand, so what do you understand?
what I understand is that they're following government procedures.
Out of fear?
Out of fear, absolute fear. Yeah. They're petrified. And one little lady was saying, I can't believe this lovely young lady wants to come in and she's not allowed. You know, and I sort of said, well, you could let me in. And she said, I can't risk being fined for it.
Do you think compliance is the best way out of this?
Compliance is not an option. I think this is why we're failing, is because people are complying. And I think we have to stand firm and perhaps take a step back and in a sense only go to places and associate perhaps with people who aren't complying, because the people that are complying are the ones that are going to take us down this very, very dangerous path that we're going down. Yeah, because after they get us on this compliance with the smartphones that they're using, I don't really know how to use a smartphone. I don't want one in my life.
So you don't have a smartphone. How are you going to exist in this vaccinated passport?
To exist, I'm going to become a ghost, poltergeist LB. I'll be floating around, perhaps even exiled, perhaps taken to the outer limits. I don't know. What do we know?
Are you surprised that the op shops are not letting people in, even though...
Absolutely. This is a charity shop and I'm the underprivileged. I'm a low income, actually I'm on welfare, and perhaps maybe why I shouldn't be here talking to you now, because I'm going to be probably hunted down for speaking out, but I feel it's important enough to come out and say something.
Listen to what you just said, and what country are we in?
We're in Australia.
And you just said you're going to be hunted down for speaking.
Down, absolutely. We're all going to be hunted down. We are. And this is what the smartphones are intended to do, is to have our facial recognition, which is why I should have worn my glasses, but I'm not going to, because I'm not afraid of them. And this is the thing. We cannot live in fear. And this is what's driving people. The biggest driver with people is fear. And they're afraid that if they don't comply, they're going to lose their jobs. I've been abandoned by my own family. A member of my family has told me that he will not have contact with me because it compromises his family and his workmates. Now, I'm not going to mention who he is because he could be watching right now. I assume he's not, but to save his privacy, he will know who I am and he's going to be really angry perhaps that I'm speaking out. But I have to, because that's a person I love and a person I grew up with, and a person who has put me in a state of apartheid. I am now outside of my own family, let alone outside of society. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, well, don't you feel that a lot of what's going on is divide and conquer, and they're dividing us?
Absolutely. This is all about divide and conquer. And I think in a sense, I was watching a very important little video this afternoon that came through my inbox that they said will be removed by the Irish inquiry about they need your kids. I encourage people to have a look at it, but basically this is where it's going. They're instilling or brainwashing the children who will be, in a sense, taking on the debt that we're creating now for the future. I don't have children. I shouldn't really be worried about the future, but I am. very worried. And I'm glad to see that there are children here tonight, and hopefully that people aren't having their children vaccinated, because I do believe it's not a vaccine. It is the gene therapy that they're talking about, and it will have serious implications for the future. And
I might have to stop you there because Facebook will take us off. That's the world we live in of censoring.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that's, and it's
Is
not,
that
it's not my
because I
fault.
mentioned the word
Oh, it's
Facebook?
just no, it's just we can't talk about these things. That's the world we live in now. So
You're kidding.
yeah, that's the world we live in now. You can't talk about anything you want on social media anymore. They'll strip,
Well, you see, this is
they'll
why
strip
I'm
your
not on
page down.
social media. Thank you so much for your time. And I
Not that I don't want to talk about that, but that's the rules we have to play in order to fight back.
So why are you playing by the rules?
Because we reach about 1.9 million people and we make them feel not alone. And if we get taken down, then those 1.9 million people can't access.
You can delete this. You
No,
don't
no,
have to
we
put it
can't.
on
This is all live.
live. Hello,
Yeah.
live people.
No, but what I'm saying is, though, this is how we live now. They are censoring
Well, this
free
is
speech.
ridiculous, and we have to fight back. People, fight back. Don't get your children vaccinated. Take them out of your schools.
That's what you
Educate them
guys
on their own.
No
Yeah.
worries.
Teach them.
No worries. See ya. Okay, you got on? Yeah. Okay, just wrap it up and say it's the last, and then Barry wants to do a round thing to show.
Yep.
And that's it.
Okay, great. Sam, please come in and join us. We've got Sam here from the Australia One Party. This is going to be our last interview. It's been a great time. We've had a really good time coming down to Bendigo. I really appreciate the support we've been getting from the community. And at the end, do you want to just turn around a bit so you can see yourself in the camera there a bit more? Excellent. Thank you, love. And yeah, we want to see you. People are sick of looking at me. And then we're going to have a look. Barry's going to have a little pan around and have a look at the people we've still got here after we talk to Sam. So Sam's from the A1 party, which is Ricardo Bossi's party. Yeah, and she wants to talk to us about some of the stuff that they've got planned for the community.
So we've been in Bendigo, set up as a supporter group in Bendigo now for about 6 weeks. We've got around 30 people, and we're getting more and more inquiries every day. At the moment, we're running all programs for Christmas, so we're going to have a barbecue. A couple of nights ago, Ricardo said that he'd like us all to do a barbecue at the end of our street, but we thought rather than everyone doing one here, there and everywhere, we're going to do a big collective one for Bendigo. So for anyone in particular who's had segregation from their own families that aren't welcome because they might not have had the you-know-what. Yep. So, they're all really welcome. People who have lost jobs, that sort of thing, we want them here as well. Just to show that we care. Because
And whereabouts are you going to have it for Bendigo? Whereabouts is it?
We're still looking at areas at the moment to see what's going to be the best spot to do it. Because Australia One is about families and it's about the kids especially. So all of us in Australia One, and that's Australia-wide, we're all approved by Ricardo, and we've also got our working with children's checks. So, which is really, really important when we're working with kids and promoting families. So
there's been a lot of people complaining about stuff, and there's a lot of stuff to complain about, but it's not like you're being really proactive and you're trying to do something to bring some healing to what's basically a traumatized Australian community.
Yep, that's right. So the other thing at the moment we're planning is having a Santa come to Bendigo. One of our dads has put his hand up to be Santa.
So when he's coming to Bendigo, it's probably one of the local dads, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, so he'll come in on his
I won't tell
sleigh.
the children, don't worry.
So we'll have him come in on his sleigh and or just in the back of the ute or something like that. Yeah, so there's a lot of supermarkets and that now kids and families can't go because they haven't had the you-know-what. So we want to give that service to families again so they can come and have their photos done and, get a little gift or a lolly or something like that.
And Sam, you were saying to me before too, like some charities and op shops are segregating now?
They are, yep. So we've been seeing on all of the local Facebook pages and that the op shops here are segregating against people if they haven't got the green tick on their phone. So this is really concerning to us as well because there's so many people unemployed. So, come on, guys, where's your good Christian attitude here? So they're all Christian faith-based op shops. Well, they should be letting in everyone who's struggling at the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing I like about Ricardo when you see him speak. He's obviously talking from a place of, wanting to make things better for people. And it's so difficult because, like you say, you talked about Christian communities and so much often, not the lower people, and we've talked to some really good priests on our show, but the hierarchy just soulless, just have no compassion at all for the people that are suffering really badly. So it's great to see Ricardo doing something like that. Yeah.
Yep. So I think if we can just keep showing ourselves as being there for the people, being there for the community, and being that voice for the people as well is really important. So, the op shops, the hardware stores, they're all in breach of a lot of, any of the shops that aren't letting people in that don't have that green tick, they're all in breach of a lot of Commonwealth laws. So,
I think I've got some of the laws here actually, Sam. You gave them to me earlier. So I don't know if you want your list so you can read it out, like some of the laws that they're in breach of.
So the request for medical, status, it violates the Australian Human Rights Commission Act of 1986, the Biosecurity Act of 2015, the Disability Discrimination Act of 1992, the Privacy Act of 1988, Sections 51 and 109 of the Australian Constitution. So if breach of these, if someone was feeling the need to, they can go to human rights advocates. The human rights advocates have been extremely helpful for a lot of people here locally, but also Australia-wide in getting successful outcomes for people who are really needing the help. So,
But these institutions must know they're in breach of these acts. They don't need you and I here to tell them that. So why do you think they feel comfortable enough to remain in breach of these acts? What is it?
I've got no idea why they want to do this. I'm just mind blown at the way society has gone and how we are just so divided. We can't discriminate against colour, we can't discriminate against race, we can't discriminate against religion,
sexual orientation,
all of that sort of thing, but yet it's okay to discriminate against whether someone's had something in their arm or
There's
not.
this new mother of all discriminations suddenly, isn't it? Which is fine to discriminate against. Yeah.
That's right. Yep. So it's just a really sad society, and the things we hear with families that are being divided from it, the workplaces that are being divided by it. I've got a client that comes to my clinic, and he's a couple of the guys where he works have only had one. You know what? I'm trying to be careful here.
That's right. Say jab.
Oh, can I? Okay.
Yeah, of course you can.
Some of them have only had one, but in the tea room, the ones that have had two are still quite not really nice because you've only had one, and
It's all about status, vaccination status. Yeah, and soon those people that have had two will not have an acceptable vaccination status come March unless they've had that third one, and then the fourth. When's that going to be? In the 5th, 6th, 7th? I've heard upwards of 14.
Yep. So I've heard up to 8 already. And then what was it, Dan, on some news report or something the other day, he was saying that number 3 is coming soon, and the government's trying to work out how they're going to do all of that. Well,
how do you feel about your Premier, Sam?
I actually don't like him at all. Yep, I think he's I can't say anything really polite on here actually. What he's done to this community, not just the community here, but the whole of Victoria. We've got people in Mildura, we've got people in Swan Hill, where I've just started up a Australia One support group up there as well. They've not had any issues at all with COVID, and they've been locked down, they've got business closures, that sort of thing.
But Ricardo's in Sydney, isn't he? And so he's basing his efforts from there. So it's clearly rolling out across Australia and rolling out all over the world as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So it's just everywhere that it's happening. So we just have to, be really mindful. We need to try and support each other. We need to get our communities back. So, and if that means all of us who haven't had the jab and we build our own communities from there, we might grow, someone might grow a field full of pumpkins and someone else might grow a heap of silver beet, and we start to, do a bit of bartering and things like that.
Do you think there'd be somewhere for someone to do, Shakespeare monologues or something like that? Like, what am I going to do, basically, Sam?
So I think, find out what you're good at.
That's it, Sam. Shakespeare monologues. I'm not looking good in this new community at all. No, I'll just do some interviews. So, Sam, I'll just ask. And I just want to ask one question because Ricardo's not actually running in the election, in the federal election. So I don't know. Do you know what that's about? What's going on with that?
I haven't heard, but Ricardo has said to us, and he's maintained that all the way through, that whatever happens, that anyone, so I could, for instance, or you could run as an independent with the full backing and support of Australia One. So, so there's definitely things afoot, but we'll hear when we need to know.
Excellent. Thanks, Sam. So good to talk to you. Thanks, mate. Can I have my list back that you gave me? Because that'll be great resource material for me. Thanks, Sam. So thanks, Bendigo. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. It's been fantastic. Yeah, great. Michael's going to come in. Thanks, Sam, and just join me. It's been been great to come down here. The community's been fantastic, and there's still quite a few of them down here.
Yeah. We're actually going to stand up now, and our tech guy's going to rip the camera around so people can see. So if you want to get up.
Good on you, Barry. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. So you're going to see. Take the camera off. How are we going? And so this is Bendigo, and it's Queen's Gardens. It's been terrific. Everyone's been very open. Catherine's going to have a speech now, I think, on the open mic, and we want to come. Damien, come in for a sec. This is our first regional town.
Second, we did do Geelong.
Oh, yeah, we did do Geelong. Yeah. We actually want to do this more. So if you've got a town you'd like us to come out, we're just sharing the pain of what's going on, having people speak.
A woman's come up and talked to us already about going up to Shepparton. So, and she came here especially because she heard we were going to be here.
Yeah, some people want Warrigal, but it's been an honour to be here. It's so moving. And I want to thank everyone who's turned up.
Because in a time of such trauma, isn't there? So much trauma. Wherever we go, whoever we talk to, there's just so much trauma. And irrespective of what the reason is, ultimately, no one feels like they're getting any help with that trauma. So if you can come along and let people talk, say what they think,
even let people hear how much they've been divided. Families have been divided. We have people up here that the families are cutting them out. For Christmas is coming up. We're going to have a divided Christmas. They can't go into shops to do Christmas shopping.
We face the greatest tragedy ever in our lifetime, really, don't we? It's the greatest tragedy I've ever seen, across the board, across all communities.
They can't even get into op shops.
Yeah.
And they've lost their jobs. They've lost everything. They're desperate. And the religious people are not letting them into the op shops. That's outrageous.
For a virus, it's just clearly not having the devastating consequences that we were led to believe that it was supposed to be having. It just isn't. It's just not playing out that way. And it's not because everyone's been locked up in their houses for 2 years. It's just not the truth. And enough's enough. And we see it, and we're here to call it out. And we're calling it out with our fellow Australians, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. We are calling it out. So we're going to come to another town next week. We'll let you know which one it is. But Ballarat. Ballarat. We're going to Ballarat.
Yes,
on the 4th.
Celebrating Eureka. Yeah. The anniversary of Eureka's on the 3rd, but we're doing it on the 4th because it's a Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. So we're in Ballarat next week. We really look forward to it. So thanks again, and thanks everyone for coming down. And come in.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind opening up about what's actually happening in Bendigo and the surrounding towns.
Go ahead.
Not really good at this, but I'll let it go out.
Just speak the truth.
I've had major hell around here under discrimination. I've had a brain tumour removed back in 2002, can't work and can't wear a mask for that reason. I've got this card, have been discriminated against at IGA in Long Gully, everywhere. Now, today, going to the school, Lightning Reef, being told that I'm not allowed to go in there without a vaccine passport. Yet I've got 3 children down there. This is getting ridiculous. Now, I hate to say it, but I'm going to show something that is actually very close to home. My mother, she ended up having the vaccine. 2 weeks to 3 weeks later after she had the vaccine, after the second dose, this is her. She died in my arms. I can't express more than enough that this needs to stop. For me, I'm a dad of 7 kids. I don't know what to say, but I've lost my mother over this, lost every part of dignity that I've got. I walk around the streets around here getting looked at everywhere because I've got no mask on and because of the fact I've had a brain tumour. The discrimination has to stop, and with whatever dictator Dan's proposing, sorry, but I've got no good words for it, and you'd probably have to cut it off there if I'm going to end up saying what I had to say. But
say it, brother.
He needs a pole shoved up his ass. Majorly. Before someone ends up knocking him off, he needs to resign. I'm over it. And everybody else is. 500,000 people down in Melbourne, let's make it 1 million. Let's make it 2 million. Right in front of him. And seeing my mother die in my arms from the vaccine, sorry, but everyone needs to know what this bloody poison is all about. And it's poison. That's all it is. Sorry,
What's your name, bro?
Aaron.
Aaron.
Yes.
Aaron.
And I don't know.
Sharing, Aaron.
Don't know what more to say, but yeah, I support you guys and everything. right?
Hey, mate. Fucking hell, buddy. What a fucking fight.
Yeah, it's been a hard dose, but yeah, I'm doing what my mother said. Just keep on living, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up there. It's from Bendigo. The world is in pain. Australia is in pain. It's got a broken heart. We're still defiant. We're still fighting back. What you're doing is wrong. The people have to come together. They have to find their courage. They have to remember that they love each other. We're one people. It's time to come back together. That's how we win. Good night, Australia.